Hey, I'm just back from interviewing with ITV in beautiful Godalming on the topic of business. So I thought I'd take advantage of that, being fresh in my mind, and get this next short segment filmed. I'm not a politician, as I think is pretty obvious from the nature of my videos, but I have been at the sharp end of politicians' economic policies for the last 25 years, running businesses with responsibilities for employees, premises, and customers. Business is such a fundamental part of the pre-election discussions. Business is also very much the beating heart of our economy. Small and medium businesses, often referred to as SMEs, represent 95% of all business and employ 16 million people. Business owners are risk takers, wealth creators and innovators on which our economy stands or falls. It's amazing how few people understand that the only source of money in an economy is business. Everything else, including government expenditure, consumes it. In other words, if business can't flourish, our economy falters and we all suffer. So let's talk about the sort of business environment that the Tories and Jeremy Hunt have created for the last 14 years. We've got the highest tax burden we've had personally and in the business space. Corporation tax is at 25% in a world where money is globally fluid. Ireland currently has a corporation tax rate of 12.5%. Even for businesses with returns under 50,000, they still pay 19% corporation tax. All the way up to annual profits of $250,000, businesses attract an effective marginal rate of 26.5%. The VAT threshold, stuck at 85,000 since 2017. Mr. Hunt tried to soften the blow by introducing full expensing, which allows companies to write off the costs of investing in qualifying plant and machinery against corporation tax. But with balance sheets stretched so tight, given the soaring cost of wages and the spiralling cost of other inputs, the idea of raising funds to benefit from full expensing is just a bad joke. Britain had the potential after Brexit to attract global investments and to become a low-tax jurisdiction by allowing successful business people to thrive and to be rewarded. The more money that's generated, the more there is for everyone. But the Tories saw things differently, and candidly, Labour and the Lib Dems will hit us even harder if they have an opportunity. This isn't hyperbole, it's written in their manifestos. Reform are the only pro-business party in the upcoming election. What are we proposing to do to help business? Well, on corporation tax, we're going to lift the minimum profit threshold to 100,000. We're going to reduce the main rate from 25% to 20% and then to 15% from year 5. Reform will also lift the VAT threshold to 150,000. For a lot of small businesses, plumbers, sparkies, plasterers, this means they won't have to charge VAT to you, the consumer. We'll also undo the IR35 off-payroll legislation, which was brought in by the Tories. If you're working as a sole trader consultancy with no sick pay, no holiday pay, and all of the risks of downtime between contracts, you need to be able to function through a limited company to protect yourself. The Tories did one of the most unconservative things by bringing about IR35 and should be destroyed by old-fashioned Tory voters on this policy alone. Beyond that, Reform will slash the Brexit red tape, which should have been done years ago by the Tories, thousands of laws which hold back British businesses and damage productivity and make it riskier to hire people, state aid, competition, employment, net zero, environmental laws, they're all still based on about 6,700 EU regulations. We'll also abolish business rates for high street-based SMEs and offset this with an online delivery tax of 4% for large multinationals to create a fairer playing field for the high streets. We're also proposing to simplify the tax code, which is currently 21,000 pages long and will dispense with the Windsor framework, which keeps Northern Ireland in the EU single market for goods. The Tories have left Britain stagnating. It's an attack on aspiration, which will leave the UK languishing behind other countries for the next 2 decades if we don't do something about it. And in Godalming and Ash, the Lib Dems are going to hit us even harder. The Libs want to top up existing spending plans so that the state remains around its current size relative to national income, and hence considerably bigger than it was pre-pandemic. How are they proposing to do this? To fund it? Through some very big tax increases valued at 27 billion on, yes, you've guessed it, business. If you've got a business and vote for Jeremy Hunt or Paul Follows, expect a rough ride for the next 5 years. Next up, transport and utilities. This is an important one for Godalming and Ash, so don't miss it. I'm Graham Drage, Reform candidate in Godalming and Ash, the voice of reason and the rose between two prickly thorns in the upcoming election. Let's trim those thorny weeds and allow business to flourish.